I honestly don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I want to do a crochet challenge. I just finished this huge tote bag and I'm dying to make another one, but I have to order more yarn for that. So in the meantime, I've been thinking of other crochet bags that I could make with the yarn in my stash. I found this raffia yarn and I think that there's enough here to crochet a small purse slash project bag. I'm also thinking if I can complete this in just 6 hours. That's about the amount of time it will take for us to travel to our vacation spot. I have less than 2 days before we leave, so I think our travel time will be perfect for this challenge. And that also gives me enough time to really think this design through and come up with a plan on how I can actually complete this. Since I've never crocheted with raffia before, I'm going to start with Pinterest and look for ideas. I'm looking for things like the stitches that were used, the shape of the bag, the handles, just details like that will really give me a good idea of what type of bag it is I'm looking for. And this will save me so much time before I start swatching. If you're interested in the designs that I'm really looking at, I will leave a link in the description box below so you can come follow me on Pinterest. I have a better idea now of what it is that I want, but now to bring that to life. And before I start swatching, I would like to sketch it out because I have a few ideas in my head, and I think drawing it and actually seeing it will really help me to make those decisions. This first sketch is of a classic cylindrical bucket bag, and for obvious reasons, this is by far the most common type of bag made with raffia. However, after I sketched this, I knew it wouldn't be practical for this challenge. I won't have access to fabric for the lining or metal rings for the straps, and I really envision these items as a part of this type of bag. So I have to save this design for another project. I think for this challenge, I'll make something similar to the second sketch. I really love the look of the Josie basket by the French brand Cézanne. The simple stitches with the pop of texture at the top is very appealing to me. I will definitely not do the flowers at the top though. I need something much easier if I'll complete this challenge on time. With ideas in mind, I immediately started swatching. Honestly, this is usually the most frustrating part for me, but I had fun with it this time. I was determined to find the right stitch combination with the raffia. It was also motivating to remind myself that the more I can work out now, before I leave, the more successful this challenge should be. Our bags are packed and ready to go for tomorrow morning, and I'm really excited for this challenge to get started. But first, let me show you some of the swatches that I came up with. Look at this. I have such a mess here, honestly. I didn't expect it to get this tangled, but I did keep all of them attached so I can just rip them out because I want to make sure that I have enough yarn to complete my bag. But this is how it all started, and they all look different. Out of all the swatches I made, these are the last ones standing, but I managed to narrow it down to only 2 stitches. The waistcoat stitch will be the main stitch used for the base and body of the bag. This will make the design look more or less like a basket. And for the top 2 inches or so, I will use the grit stitch. I love how the stitch combo of single crochet and double crochet turned out with the raffia. And it's so easy. This combined with the more simple waistcoat stitch will give a really nice contrast to this bag. You can get a good idea of what it will look like in this prototype I'm making. And actually, crocheting this prototype was very last minute, but ultimately a good idea. I was able to sketch out the final design based on this, and I assigned the dimensions that I want for my own bag. Then from there, I made calculations for stitch counts and row counts. Luckily, this one was very straightforward since I had the prototype to measure. And I really don't want to bore you too much with this, but I did want to share the behind the scenes process with you. It's not always just fun and crocheting. There is a lot more involved that you don't always see. I think I am ready and all set to begin this challenge bright and early tomorrow morning.
Things don't always go as planned, but we made it on the airplane, which was our number one priority. And by the time we got situated on the plane, my nerves had calmed. I gathered my supplies and immediately got started on the challenge. It was so exciting to begin a new project, especially since I had been planning this for the past 2 days. It was the perfect distraction for our 50-minute flight. This is how much progress I made by the end of the flight. I almost have the oval base complete, and I would say this is a pretty good start to this challenge. Our layover was about an hour, so we had a little bit of time to spend. We got a coffee, my boyfriend worked a little bit, despite me annoying him with the camera, and I furiously worked on this challenge. That is, until I decided to start over. I wanted the bottom a little longer compared to the width. So maybe 10 minutes before boarding our second flight, I ripped out all of the progress that I had crocheted up until that point. That way I could add more chains to make it longer. By the time we made it on the plane, I had a decent sized oval, and I was still feeling really good about this challenge. Things went downhill fast. Right after the plane took off, my crochet hook was eaten by the plane. And despite my best efforts, I just could not retrieve it. I was so frustrated, devastated, just all those emotions. But luckily, I had all of my crochet hooks with me, so I had a backup of the same size. The challenge ended as soon as the plane landed, so did I complete this challenge? Not by a long shot. Honestly, this is how far I got. For some reason, it got all wonky, it just wouldn't lay flat, and I was so frustrated and stressing myself out to finish this. I actually threw in the towel on this challenge long before the plane landed. I needed to chill out and relax because that was no way to start vacation. Our vacation came at the perfect time, and we enjoyed our trip immensely. We relaxed, swam, enjoyed the outdoors, ate really well, played in the ocean, and just forgot about all of our duties back home for a bit. But what about the bag? I know that's what this whole video is about and not my vacation. So I did pick up this project a few times, but I didn't pressure myself to finish it before we left. On the plane ride home, I took it a little more seriously and I worked pretty hard on it. So the progress that you see here is at the end of our trip, before our last flight home, and I almost had the body of the bag complete.
I honestly don't know how long it's been since we've returned from Mexico. It's been a while, and yeah, I've just completely lost track of time. But the Raffia bag has remained in this state for a while. I believe whenever we returned, I did work on it in the airplane on the way back, but I had maybe this much or so complete. Now it measures about 7 inches high, and I'm getting ready to start crocheting the very top of the bag, which will be the last bit. I'm going to use the grit stitch as I discussed in the intro, and I'm really hoping it works out and that I like it. I'm gonna have to play with how many rows I want. It's just gonna have to be something that I see as I go, but I'm really excited. I'm getting to the very end of this project and I can't wait to show it to you whenever I'm completely finished. I do have only one ball of raffia left. I'm not worried because I will definitely have enough to finish
the main body of the bag. I just don't know if I'm gonna have enough for the straps. And I guess it all depends on how much is left after I finish this. Whether the straps are gonna be short or long, we'll just have to see. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited and wanted to give you a little bit of a progress update before I start crocheting on this again. At the hotel, there was a steamer, and I learned that raffia can be steamed and the bumps do smooth out. I did this for the base of the bag before continuing up with the sides, and it worked really well. So I wanted to apply this to the body of the bag before adding the grit stitch, and no real reason other than wanting to see if the stitches on the sides would smooth out a little more. Once the bag was all steamed, I was ready to get started on the grit stitch, and this was seriously the most fun part of this project. It was a really nice change from the waistcoat stitch, and it's interesting because for this stitch to look right, you have to work it in rows rather than rounds, which is what I've been doing on this entire project. So I did have to work that part a little bit differently, but it kept me intrigued, and this part of the project just flew by. By the time I finished the rest of the bag, there was plenty of raffia left. So I was excited because that means that I could knit 2 I-cords. This was only my second time to knit an I-cord, but I just love it so much. It's so simple, it's fast, and it's just so much fun to watch it grow as you knit it. I don't know, there's just something about it that's super satisfying to me. Okay, pardon the mess of yarn that I have going on here. It did get a little messy. I'm working on the I-cord though, and I wanted to show you what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to decide right now. So I do still have the I-cord here left on my knitting needle since I am knitting this. And that's because I don't know how long I want these straps yet. But I did try to do a little mock-up of what I'm thinking. I basically ran the I-cord through the front of the bag, and then I brought it out through the back, so it's kind of looped here together. I'll try to show you so you can see. And obviously it's not secured yet. I just wanted to see if this idea would work, but I did leave enough yarn here so I could do this. And this is going to be tight and just wrapped around, so it kind of gives you a little break in the I-cord. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm trying to decide now if this is also enough. I think it is. I think I like the length of it. But yeah, now I'm just trying to decide if this is gonna be long enough or if I need to keep knitting a little bit. So this is a little progress update on this bag, but I'll check in with you later whenever I have a little more progress. Look at how much progress I've made now. I'm really excited. I have both the I-cord straps done, but before I attached them, I decided to add a slip stitch row to finish the top of the bag. I just think that this will help hold the structure of the top a little bit better than just keeping the tops of the grit stitch. This bag is almost ready for me to use. Now I get to add the 2 straps. I'm basically just making a big loop with the I-cord around the top couple of inches of the grit stitch. And then I'm using this tapestry needle to sew the back side, which is like the bottom of the I-cord. And then I'm sewing that to the other side of the strap. That way it won't go anywhere. And then I'm wrapping the rest of the raffia around it and then tying it in a knot to secure it. I just love this detail. It breaks up the I-cord and the grit stitch, and I just think that it gives it a totally different look that I absolutely adore. Now to do the same thing for the second strap. And this, just saying, was the perfect way to spend my evening. I got to watch the sunset from my balcony and add the final touches to this bag. This project definitely took longer than anticipated, but honestly, the bag did not take that long to crochet, and it would have been doable in the time frame that I allowed. However, I left absolutely no room for mistakes, and we don't live in a perfect world, as we saw in this video. So despite accepting defeat to the challenge, I still had to finish the bag. More than anything, I wanted to turn that idea in my head into a real life bag, and I'm so happy with the result now. It's the perfect size. It measures about 9 inches tall, and the base is about 8 inches by 6 inches. So it's perfect for carrying around those items that you don't want to keep in your pocket, but also I can fit a small project within it. So I plan to use this quite a bit. Now, at the time of recording this video, this is not a pattern yet, but it is on my list, so keep an eye out on my channel, and I hope to have a tutorial with the pattern released at the same time. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it and editing it, so I want to thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and come say hi in the comments below or over on Instagram. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.